the most tremendous new musical experience you can have.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Logan, and I'm here bringing y'all this review to this newest mixtape slash album from Young Thug and Chris Brown called Slime&B. Now, if you don't know who these two are, you definitely should. Young Thug has been tearing it up in the trap game since about 2014, 2015. He's had some really good albums such as Barter 6, Slime Season 3, Jeffrey, Beautiful Thugger Girls, and most recently last year, So Much Fun. Whereas Chris Brown, you know, he's been around for a while now. He's got some R&B classics such as Fame. Let's see, he's got his self-titled album, Chris Brown, Exclusive, etc., etc. He's even got a album that's pretty infamous, not exactly a classic, Heartbreak on a Full Moon. 45 songs, 2 hours and 38 minutes. Yeah, at least to say, not many people have gotten through that entire thing. Regardless, both of them have their fair share of great music. Now, Chris Brown, obviously, as y'all know, people have tried to cancel him for the whole abusing Rihanna thing. What's my opinion on that? I mean, if you don't agree with that, sure, you don't have to listen to his music. I totally understand that. As for myself, I listen to anyone's music. I try my best to separate the art from the artist. Just because I listen to something that you made does not mean I particularly support you. I just enjoy the music, you know? That being said, yeah, what he did was terrible. But I'm not the most up-to-date on things that he's been doing in his life. I don't know if he's moved on from that or if he's still doing the same thing. I don't know. I'm really not that invested in his life to care either. I mean, like I said, it's bad what he did, but I'm just here for the music. So that being said, coming up on this one, this was a surprise. No one saw this coming whenever they announced it a few weeks ago. And then a lot of people were talking about it on Twitter like it was going to be straight up trash. I don't know if that was the people trying to cancel Chris Brown or what. I was personally interested. I mean, Chris Brown, of course, has a beautiful voice that mixes very well with some hip-hop. He has the ability to rap along with having his beautiful R&B voice and vocals. And then Young Thug has the ability to fit over basically any sound, from his trap sound to his more crooning vocals that can fit with R&B very well. I was actually genuinely excited for this one. I was planning on doing a midnight listen, but then it never dropped on Spotify. Came out on SoundCloud, came out on DatPiff, never on Spotify though. So I waited. I said, you know what? I'll listen to it in the morning when it gets on Spotify. Wasn't on Spotify, so I said, all right, screw it. SoundCloud it is. I hate listening to stuff on SoundCloud. I don't have SoundCloud Premium, so of course I have to listen to the ads. But regardless, we got through it. We got this review popping. And then about halfway through my second listen, I was like, oh crap, it is on Spotify now. I tried listening to it. It's the clean version. So I went back to SoundCloud. Devastating times. But regardless, that's enough of a backstory for this thing. Let's get into reviewing it. So like I said, no one really expected this thing to work, but it just does. I'm going to try to do it track by track. I might skip some here and there. I don't know. I have something written for every song, but just for time constraints, because, I mean, I don't feel like doing a long review on this album. We'll see how it goes. This is a 12-song, 42-minute project, so not terribly long to get through, especially if you're enjoying it. So it starts out with Say You Love Me, where Thug, he kind of goes more with a soft, laid-back voice over banging, minimalistic beat. He harmonizes very well with Breezy, and it starts out very beautiful over the hook. Again, of course, Chris Brown sounds beautiful. You know, he's just flowing, just harmonizing very well. It's just, on here, Thug sounds a little bit more laid back to where it's not his best sound. He doesn't really get to eat up this track, but overall the song's still pretty enjoyable, pretty good, and gives you a decent taste of what's to come. Now the next track, Go Crazy, is probably my favorite, if not at least one of my favorite tracks on here, where this is more of what I expected. Chris Brown gets his natural sound over some nice kind of rap-infused R&B production. And then once it switches to Young Thug, it gets a little bit more boom and bass to go along with the beat that was already building up. And he gets to do more of his crooning kind of rap mixture that works very well. Of course, that is classic Young Thug sound. And these two just show that they can have a beautiful chemistry over this track. Following that up is Trap Back, which probably has my least favorite hook on here. They're basically just saying Trap Back over and over and over again. Nothing crazy there, but again, it works. The Chris Brown verse sets the tone very well, more laid back trap sound, and then Young Thug gives a similar sound, kind of matching that vibe, to where it works very well. And again, I could hear this track being played in the club on a ladies' night or something, because that's kind of what they're going for here. And after this comes I Got Time, which is another laid back ladies' love ballad. Both artists have mastered this style, I would say. So they both work together. It also features Shad the God. And his verse almost sounds like a continuation of Young Thug's. It's just you can tell he's not as good as Young Thug, but it doesn't do enough to knock you off your vibe or anything. Overall, this track works pretty well. Again, Shad's verse could have just been left out and you wouldn't notice anything, but overall, I enjoyed this track. After this comes She Bumped Her Head with Gunna, and at the beginning, it sounds very much like what you would expect from a Young Thug and Gunna track. The only difference is it's a little bit more laid back and controlled to fit more of that Chris Brown type vibe. By this point, you kind of start noticing they're going more on the Chris Brown side of things rather than on the Young Thug side of things, and you're kind of like, dang, I wish they would explore Young Thug's music a little bit more, but regardless, it has been working to this point, so you still live with it. I'm not a big Gunna fan, but he impressed me here with his ability to match a more laid-back energy, which is what Young Thug said on his verse. Again, laid-back, low energy, not being a bad thing, just kind of being what the beat called for here, and it works very well. And then, of course, Chris Brown definitely works, just because this is a track that requires more of good vocals, better harmonization, which he has more so than the others. But again, the others perform very well, so overall, all three of them have good verses on this track that makes it very enjoyable. After this comes Big Slimes with Gunna and Lil Duke. And on this one, Thug takes over the track with some solid crooning over the hook and even more rapping over the verse. Although towards the end of his verse, he gets a little bit too much crooning. Not enough to knock you off, not enough to ruin the verse at all. But just, it's like right there at the end where you notice it and you're like, okay, if that had kept going, that would have become a problem, but it didn't. After that, Breezy, he kills his verse again, of course, harmonizing and flowing together all at once, having that R&B and rap mixture works very well. Gunna does not stand out as much as he did on the last track. His verse is just kind of here and then gone. And then Duke, his voice just doesn't really work here. Not that he had a bad verse, just that his voice is a little grating to the point that it doesn't fit with the more laid-back tone that they have on this track, just like they've been going for the rest of the album. So overall, again, not a bad track at all. Very enjoyable. Very good vibes being set throughout. After that comes I Ain't Trying, which is, again, a little bit more laid back. And this one, more so than the other tracks, feels very much like a Chris Brown track that Young Thug just features on. This one stands out the least of the others because, again, it just really doesn't show their chemistry the way the other ones have been. And it really just panders to Chris Brown style a lot more. It's not bad, but this is probably my least favorite track of all of them. Again, just because it doesn't show off their chemistry. The others tracks so far, while being more on the Chris Brown side of things, still allows Young Thug to show off his unique abilities a little bit more. This one, not so much. But after this comes Animal, which, again, Chris Brown sets the tone, beautiful vocals, talking about toxic things like popping bottles, being with women, etc. But how he's grown tired of that at the same time. Again, beautiful vocals by him. Following that up with Young Thug, giving us more of a classic Young Thug verse where he gives us some hard rapping mixed with his crooning to where it sounds like something that you have heard Young Thug do before. And it works very well. Of course, Chris Brown gets the shine again, but overall, this one accommodates Young Thug's sound a lot more, which makes up for what happened on the last track. Following that up is City Girls, which is another ladies track, of course, where Chris Brown is singing to a woman that it seems to be important to him. He wants to take care of and show off. And again, he sets the tone. Young Thug adjusts his sound to fit the tone set by Chris Brown and provides a solid verse where he fits the flow and vibe already set. Following that up is Stolen, which is basically, just saying, I just want to get back what you stole. Chris Brown sets the tone, Thug matches. Again, more beautiful vocals. Their chemistry's still there. This is a more heartfelt type of track that makes you feel more introspective and stuff, but still very solid track. After this comes Undrunk, which changes the tone finally from that more ladies type laid-back R&B. This one gets into more of a West Coast type rap style, something you'd hear in the 80s, 2000s, whatever. And it features Too Short and E40, so that makes sense, of course. More of that San Francisco type rap. Of course, this allows Too Short and 40 to fit very well over this. This is definitely a standout track that, again, like I said, thankfully changes the vibe a little bit. Going back to that, yes, the vibe has been working up to this point, but the problem is that when you go with just one set standard all throughout, for 42 minutes, it could kind of become a problem. So you need something to experiment a little bit, especially when you have two artists with unique sounds such as Chris Brown and Young Thug. So this one does allow you to get that, where you're balancing out the heavy R&B vibes with something different, something more rap-centric. So that's good. The only problem with this one is Young Thug and Chris Brown actually don't get a chance to stand out. Too Short and E40 stand out more. On top of that, Young Thug, like I said, he doesn't stand out because he's not even on the track. So a song that I would have loved to hear him on with a vibe that's different from the R&B set all throughout so far, more of a West Coast type track. I would have loved to heard him on this beat, but again, I understand why, with Chris Brown having a hook and a little bit of a verse, Too Short and E40, of course, having their verses. Might have been a little bit too much to throw Thug in there as well, but it would have been nice to hear him. And then the last track, No Such Thing, featuring Hoodie Baby. This is another more rap type track, a little bit more of a trap vibe, with Hoodie Baby providing the intro. Chris Brown provides a very solid rap verse, but again, Young Thug is not on this track, and I don't understand why he's not on this track, because again, this is something that would fit his style more, and he's not on here. And unlike the other song where, unlike Undrunk, where it might have just been too loaded if you put him in there, this song is only 1 minute and 41 seconds, so to have another verse featuring Young Thug would have made this track like a complete song, and it would have worked. It would have worked perfectly. So I don't understand why he's not on here, but again, it's not a bad song. Chris Brown provides a very good verse, good vocals, over a rap-centric track. So overall, I think you can already tell what I'm going to say here just based on what I've said throughout the other songs. I'm going to give my rating first, and then I'll go through any complaints and any suggestions I have for this one. So first off, let me say this is a light 8 out of 10. Light 8 out of 10. I thought about maybe a strong 7.5, but then I looked at what my 7.5s are. And I was just like, this is still better than those, technically speaking. Like, they work very well together. And this has so much potential that at the beginning I thought, okay, if they do something to match both people's styles, this could be a strong 8.5 even. But I just couldn't justify putting it any lower. I couldn't justify putting it any higher either. Just looking at what my 8s were, and a lot of them had stuff to say. They explored multiple styles. They were just overall better, more cohesive projects. This one, like I said, it sticks to one style all throughout, so that can get a little boring after a while. Is this project boring? Heck no. I love the way these two work together. They have great chemistry. And Chris Brown performs very well. He actually outshines Young Thug, which I did not expect. I love Young Thug, and I expected to come out saying, dang, Young Thug killed that, Chris Brown was good. Nope, the exact opposite. But I think there's a reason for that. I don't think that's on Young Thug. I think it's more the fact that every single song on this album fits Chris Brown's style so much more than Young Thug. And Young Thug, while he has multiple styles, and yes, one of his best styles is the ability to fit with what they were doing, he doesn't get a song where he gets to shine. Every single one, it's like he's adjusting to Chris Brown's style, So they didn't really give him a chance to take the lead on any of these songs, which is unfortunate, because in collab albums, you need to bring out the best in both artists, not just bring out the best in one and have the other match it. Again, Young Thug's great at matching people's style and matching people's flow, matching people's rhythm, whatever you want to say, but to give him a song where he stands out more would have been best. And it's especially disappointing considering they did that on the last 2 tracks and yet left Young Thug off of those. I don't understand that. Regardless, still a very good project that I enjoyed a lot. We'll definitely be going back to some keepers all throughout. Good features, Too Short and E40. Gunna has a good feature on She Bumped Her Head. Enjoyable project, very enjoyable, and I recommend it to y'all. Hopefully we get another one to where Young Thug gets to stand out a little bit more. Also, I did notice on my first listen, they had a 13th track with Future. I cannot remember what it's called, but after my first listen, it just disappeared, so I never got to hear it again. I don't know what happened with that, but honestly, I don't, like I said, I only got to listen to it once, so I don't even really remember if I enjoyed it or not. I think it was enjoyable, but I don't think it was like a standout, so I don't think it would have changed anything regardless, just based on what I remember. I feel like if I remembered more of it, then that would have made it more standout, but being that I don't, it's just like it was there. Either way, hopefully that reappears at some point. Hopefully we get the actual version on Spotify soon. Maybe it'll be up by the time I upload this video. I know I said I didn't plan on going on long, and now we're on 15 minutes here. But either way, I appreciate y'all watching this video. Again, reminder of my rating right here at the end, 8 out of 10. If you agree with this, make sure you hit the like button. If you didn't agree, still hit the like button, please. Make sure to comment what your thoughts on this project were. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell next to my name for notifications for when I post next time. Hit the share button so your friends can check this out. I appreciate y'all, and I will hit y'all up next time.